Well, good afternoon, and welcome to today's Sunday Preview. That's Matthew Allen, and I'm Cody Pritt. Matt, how are you doing today?
Super. Weekend's upon us. Can you believe it?
I know. I was hoping for some better weather. I've been itching to get outside and run a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to warm up today, but it's super cloudy and really windy, and it looks like it's going to rain, and it's not going to warm up until Monday. But that's okay.
I know. It's colder now than it was in March or February.
I know. Isn't that wild?
Yeah. Yeah, and I know we're not alone because I was talking to some people from Tennessee the other day that were talking about they're very disappointed with the weather.
Yeah. Well, we're not all downs here. We're actually going to be looking up and forward and having some happy thoughts this coming Sunday.
Yeah.
We're talking about, well, you have this titled, I'll Fly Away, which I
love. It's not original by me, but I like it.
Yeah. I love that song, by the way, for those of you who know that hymnal. I don't know if it's really a hymnal, but...
it's a hymn that's in a hymnal.
Yeah. I'll Fly Away. That's a good one. And then we have talking about our inheritance and then Jesus' second coming. And I think that's very apropos for the weekend before Easter.
Yeah, it is. And, of course, it all fits in our yearly theme that we're doing this year on our inheritance and the desire to open up our eyes and see it in a deeper, more profound fashion. And we are talking about our inheritance during the month of March. We've talked about the guarantee of it, and we've talked about how when we realize that it's ours, that everything in this world should really kind of diminish in its importance and value. And tomorrow, or Sunday, we're going to talk about what's going to happen when we receive it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So when the Lord returns, that's the beginning of the experience of the fullness of our inheritance. And Cody, how often do we think about the return of the Lord?
I would venture to say probably not as much as we should, because I think it would create a little bit of an urgency and a realignment of priorities if we did consider it more than what we do, in my opinion. And I'm speaking just from my experience as well. So,
I think that's caught up. I think most people would live very differently if they kept in mind the possibility that the Lord is going to return and can return at any moment. We're not guaranteed to get through the rest of this video if you want to know the truth.
That's true.
I
never thought of that that way.
He could return even before we get off the air here. And obviously, a lot of times people think, well, he hasn't come back in 2,000 years, so what's the big urgency? But the Bible tells us over and over again that we need to be watching and waiting and living in anticipation. And the Christian is somebody that looks in anticipation for his return, not out of fear, but really out of joyous anticipation and hope.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we talked about this last week and the week before that, but it for me, understanding that hope and that faith is the only way that we can have a positive outlook in order to actually take certain actions without falling into despair. And it's the only thing that not the only thing, but it's the primary thing that I like to use when evangelizing, is saying that, the worries and the concerns right now don't ultimately matter. No matter how wrong you've been wronged, no matter how wrong you have been and wronged other people, that's not necessarily the focus. And it's so interesting. We actually talked about this in the, I don't know if it was the teenagers class or if we talked about this Sunday morning. I can't remember, but it always seems like the world always gets things backwards. Oh, it was the Friday night study or the Tuesday night study when you and me were studying with some of the new visitors. But we were talking about how there seems to be a difference between God in the Old and New Testament and his just his personas or whatever, his like compassion versus his strictness. But I would also say that the world kind of gets this backwards too. They think that God's a God that's always waiting to like catch you in the doing wrong. I think it's the opposite. I think God is waiting to catch you coming back to him, like the prodigal son parable.
Yeah.
Or he's just waiting. He's like, finally, you're coming back. Instead of saying, I got you. You did it wrong, man. It's over. Now, I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's the reverse of that. anyway, that's kind of a tangent, but
Well, I agree. And it's interesting you brought that up because we talked about that Wednesday night in our adult Bible class in the auditorium. So everything that we're looking at here is in mind that one day we're not going to be here. We're going to be at home with the Lord, and that's the promise here with 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. One day He's going to return, and He is going to, if we're still alive when He returns, He's going to bring those who have died before us with Him, and we're going to be gathered unto Him, and thus we will always be with the Lord. That's the promise. And what a wonderful promise that is as we look at this darkening world with a lot of uncertainty and difficulty in it. The Christian stands out because we have hope of something better, far beyond anything this world has to offer.
yeah. It's going to be the greatest family reunion ever.
Yes.
We don't have as much anymore from my family, but I used to love going to those things, man.
Oh, well, I
It's gonna
remember
be the greatest one
I
ever.
remember going to some family reunions back in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
And with my mom's side of the family up in around Oklahoma and western Arkansas, going up there, and yeah, you're right. It is the greatest. Family reunion we'll ever have, and the greatest thing about it is not only do I get to see my dad again and my grandparents and all of that, but the other Christians I've loved along the way. But the best thing about it is we're going to be with the Lord.
Yeah.
We're going to see Him as He is. That's a passage we'll be looking at on Sunday. Let me close with this passage that we'll look at Sunday out of Philippians chapter 3 and verse 21. This is our hope. He will transform the body of our humble condition into the likeness of His glorious body by the power that enables Him to subject everything into Himself. So with the same power that resurrected Jesus from the dead, the same power that's allowed Him to take and be in control of everything in this world, that same power is going to raise you and I from the dead one day so we can be with Him forever and ever. We will fly away.
Absolutely. That's great, Matt. And we'll end off with that. We'll see you this Sunday. God bless.
Have a great weekend.